Some big Iowa football players are getting even bigger. We take a look at the offseason weight gains and what it says about Iowa football today. Locked on Hawkeye.
You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Trent Condon, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We're with you every single day during the week, talking the world of Hawkeye athletics. I've been covering the Hawkeyes for over 20 years, including currently on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. You can hear me each weekday from noon to 2, talking the world of sports in Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Quad Cities, Sioux City, and our flagship 106.3 KXNO. Today's episode of Locked On Hawkeyes is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Well, we got a lot to get into today. Caitlyn Clark, it's looking like a lost season for Caitlyn. She is out for the All-Star Game weekend. How long is that groin injury going to continue for her? We'll talk with John Bohnenkamp. He was at Iowa basketball availability earlier in the week. We'll get his perspective and what he saw over in Iowa City. And we open today with some football talk. So in the offseason, you got a lot of different directions you can go, right? And one of the things that is always interesting is taking a look at just how different things are and the weight gains that you have. Now, as a whole, not everybody on the football roster has lost a gained weight, There are a few guys that have gone down, and we'll talk about them a little bit later on. Probably the most significant here recently, just a couple of years back, is what Jennings Dunker did, changing his weight as he was playing up around 350 pounds and now down at 316. So we'll talk about that on the backside of things a little bit. But really, when you're talking about football, it's about gaining that weight, right? Keep getting bigger. And there's some pretty significant changes on the roster. Now, when were these weights done? A lot of the incoming freshmen, that's where you get to see a big jump. And in fact, the biggest one here, and thank you to our guy, Blair Sanderson over at Hawkeye Report, who put all these together so they have it all together on one nice sheet, as Blair does a great job over there with Tom Kakert, Kyle Huseman, and the rest of the crew at Hawkeye Report. But we start with Brody McCaslin, offensive lineman, as Brody McCaslin now is up to 299 after being 266 pounds as an incoming freshman a year ago. So a weight gain of 33. Another young offensive lineman, and Will Nolan came in at 287, now up to 310 pounds. Here's another one. And, we've talked a little bit about the tight end position recently. It is DJ Vanami, who is a walk-on from Carroll, a guy that there's been talk about. Maybe this could be a walk-on star at the tight end position, something that hasn't been real fruitful since going back all the way back to Dallas Clark. These walk-ons at this position hasn't been at the same level as some other positions. That's one to keep an eye on. Another tight end that's got much bigger, Michael Burt, another one of those young guys in that offensive at the tight end room. He is now up to 249 pounds, so he's up 21 pounds from what he got into. Here's two names I'm incredibly excited about. If you're an everyday or you watch us every day, you know how excited I am for now this redshirt freshman class of defensive linemen. I think it's so many of these guys have so much upside, and two guys are listed next. Chimmy Chineke is up to 260 pounds, so 20 pounds heavier than he was a year ago. I think he could do some rotational work. Another guy on the outside is Joseph Anderson, an incredible athlete, a freak type of athlete. Now he's up to 241. 224 when he came in, 241. Don't be surprised if you see both Chineke and Anderson part of the rotation, deeper down the rotation at the defensive end, admittedly, but those two guys, certainly a one there. Speaking of young guys, and this is what you're going to see a lot, is young players, is Derek Weiskopf, one of those three redshirt freshman linebackers that we've talked about a ton. He's up 17 pounds now, up to 235 pounds for him. Maybe one of the most significant ones, because this is the first guy that we're going to talk about that is going to be a starter, and that is Cade Peeper. Peeper up to 290 pounds. Asked somebody about that, and they said he's even bigger than that. So we'll see 290 pounds, because that was the knock. You saw him last year. He played. He was kind of the sixth offensive lineman when they went into some different packages. Cade Peeper is going to be a starter this year. And if he is pushing more up towards that 300-pound range, you're going to be in good shape, because you saw just how tenacious Cade Peeper is. We go next to three skill position guys. First up, Jazz Patterson, up to 210 pounds. He was listed at 197 It always feels like Jazz Patterson plays bigger than that at the running back spot. He's a guy that wants to run through you, not by you all the time. He says speed is still maintained. Patterson up 15 pounds. That is a big one there. How about Brevin Dahl? Know about the speed. Is it elite? Absolutely, no doubt about it. Brevin Dahl has that kind of speed. He's always been solidly built. Now up to 211 pounds for Brevin Dahl as he looks to try to find some minutes this year as a redshirt freshman at the running back spot. Another guy up 12 is Jackson Stratton. And I know there's some Jackson Stratton fans out there believe that he should be a guy that should be in contention for the backup spot. I can't get there. I know one of our commenters over on the YouTube page is a big Jackson Stratton fan. We'll see, though. A little bit stronger, a little bit bigger, and he saw that a year ago. Certainly something that needed to happen. Speaking of redshirt freshmen, Jalen Watson, I believe, is going to be a stud for this football team. He's up 11 pounds, now up to 185 pounds. How about Dayton Howard? You see Dayton Howard out there. Boy, he looks the part. 6'4" receiver, has got the long stride, had the touchdown a year ago. He's up now to 215 pounds, and with the kind of size and strength that he has on that frame, he's going to be able to do some work in the blocking game. A couple of young guys, Josh Janowski, now up to 292 at offensive line. Let's get into a couple of other guys that are going to be interesting. Speaking of defensive line, Devin Kennedy, up to 275. Still work to be done, I believe, to build himself into an offensive tackle, but remember his dad, absolutely an NFL Penn State guy that put it together physically, and he was a monster of a man. Devin Kennedy working to get to that point. KJ Parker, this is another player that we've talked about a lot here during the summer months, and he has become one of those buzz guys at the wide receiver position, now up to 84 pounds for him, a now 9-pound weight gain. Logan Jones also up 9 pounds, now up over 300 pounds as he is at 302. Trevor Lauk, we'll see if he wins that starting job at left tackle. He's up 8 pounds at 310 pounds now. Kamari Moulton, there's another anticipated starter. He has gained 8 pounds, as has Reese Vanderzee. You know what, Vanderzee, I think what's incredibly interesting with him, multi-sport athlete, played a ton, did a lot of different things. He was in and out all the time, had the injury a year ago. Remember, he showed up late because he was playing high school baseball a year ago. What he's going to look like full-time dedicated now to football. The size that he has, the speed that he has. This is a guy that still is learning the wide receiver position. Huge upside, now up to 215 pounds with that frame. And if he keeps running like he can, look out. Reese Vanderzee is going to help out this wide receiver crew. Here's a name for you. Kenneth Merriweather. Another one, up 8 pounds. He's up to 263. He's always been bubbling under the surface. Last couple of years, hasn't got a ton of rotational minutes to this point. It's going to be tough, I think, in that defensive line room. But keep an eye on Kenneth Merriweather as he's gained another 8 pounds. Couple more for you. Jack Doetzler, who's also fighting for that left tackle spot. He's up to 312 now. Seth Anderson gained another 7 pounds. We know about the speed. Now it's about the health for Seth Anderson. 2 of those redshirt freshmen. We talked a little bit earlier about Weiskopf. Preston Reese up 7 pounds and Cam Buffington up 4. Max Llewellyn's got another 5 pounds on him. Zach Ortworth the same. And then we get into guys that are made some small gains. Not a whole lot to, I think, write home about anything that is concerning one way or the other. But that's something to keep your eye on, certainly with these guys trying to build themselves up into the kind of players that you are hopeful for. Now we go to the other end of the scenario, though. And it's guys that have lost weight. Jennings Dunker has lost a pound. He's down to 315 pounds now. He was listed at 316. This is, again, according to the official roster for Iowa football. Xavier Wampa has gone down 2 pounds. Now at 213 pounds officially listed on that one. Reese Dakin has lost a couple of pounds. Addison Estrenga down 3. Xavier Williams down 5 pounds. Of course, he was the bowling ball that came in last year with Brevin Dahl. We talked about him. Here's an interesting one, though. And the final 3, I think, maybe are the most interesting of the guys that have lost weight from the roster a year ago. Aaron Graves goes from listed at 300 down to 295. What's behind that? We'll see. We got Media Day coming up. Maybe I'll ask him. Bo Stevens down 7 pounds. Bo Stevens is a butt kicker in the run game, and I'm excited to see him as a full-time starter, what Bo Stevens can be for this Hawkeye team this year. And then finally, Jeremiah Pittman. Normally you'd think one of your defensive tackles, and very well could be your starting defensive tackle, you don't want him losing weight, down 8 pounds. Is that just a retooling of the body? And Jeremiah Pittman, we've seen this happen so many times. He is one of the keys to this defense taking a step forward. Now we're excited about the 2 guys that they brought in for the transfer portal. You go out and get 2 guys from South Dakota State and Central Michigan. You hope they can help out. But if Jeremiah Pittman can take another step, going from a guy, what he was a year ago, and becoming a guy that has that senior leap that has happened so many times before, that's going to help immensely this defensive front this year. That's what we have on the weight gains for Iowa football, and a few on the other end with some losses. Let's talk some hoops. John Bohnenkamp, he was over at Iowa City a couple of days ago for the open availability for Iowa hoops. I'm going to talk a little bit about John, about what he saw, some of the names that he's excited to see, and exactly what it's going to be for Iowa basketball coming up this year. If you missed it earlier in the week, I had an opportunity to talk with Ben McCollum. That interview is up. You can check it out on the podcast form, or you can check it out on YouTube and watch it over there. Back with John Bohnenkamp talking Iowa basketball and just how good is this team going to be? We'll talk about that next on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Summer sports are in full swing, whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, high-stakes soccer action. FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. Maybe you're into golf with the major, the final one of the season happening. That's what I've been doing, firing away at the golf tournament and hoping to come out big. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Trent Condon back with you once again here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for being with us and making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day as we hear from John Bohnenkamp.
John Bohnenkamp, Associated Press, IowaCollegeHoops.com, et cetera, joins us to recap the media availability today. McCollum and some of the Iowa players. Former Iowa player Trent Freeman out 4 to 6 weeks, but sounds like he'll be back for the season. But Owen Freeman, real injury, as you say.
Real injury, not a finger injury to keep him out a couple months.
It was wild, wasn't it? Hello, John Bohnenkamp. Trent and Ken, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. So I want to get pick your brain on what you saw today. I want to start though with Bennett Stirtz, who's kind of the given when it comes to the Drake players as to how, at least on the surface, how we think he's going to fit in. And I think part and parcel to that is, just we saw him play against good competition, right? Texas Tech, really good team. Missouri, a really good team. Those two teams played in the tournament, beat Mizzou, lost to the Red Raiders. But we've seen him do it before. I'm anxious to get your take on when you watch Stirtz play, does he look like a Big Ten player to you?
Yes. No, I think he's been really good.
I do too.
I think there is. I mean, obviously the scoring is there, but it's the court vision. It's the understanding the game. And I mean, when you're putting together a new roster to get a guy like that, you're way ahead of the game, at that point. And he was one of the first ones to commit. And so when they got him, it was like, okay, now you've got your star now. Now you build around him. And I think Ben McCollum's done a really good job of that. But, to go back to your question, yeah, I think he's really good. And I think he's going to be really good in the Big Ten. And I mean, he showed it last year against power conference teams. There's a lot of talent there to like.
When you see him listed, top 20 NBA prospect, I think that's certainly eye-opening for a guy that didn't have a D1 offer coming out of high school, and they can find him all over the place.
How old is he? That's working against him. He's got to be 22,
21, 22. Yeah, probably something in that range. And I think a reason that I'm optimistic that they're going to hit the ground running is just all those Drake guys, right? Mm-hmm. You have that kind of continuity. Ben McCollum coaches hard. I think we've seen that the videos that have come out, looking back at last year at Drake, he's a guy that way. But when you're not just going to a new place, but you're bringing 5 guys with you that know what the expectations are, I think that's a huge help for the other 13 guys on that roster.
Right, and it's not just. I mean, it's 5 guys that know the system.
Yep.
Actually, 6 if you throw in the redshirt player.
Mm-hmm.
They know the system. They know what he wants. They know what he likes. They know how he is. But these are also guys that won. I mean, they won 31 games last year. They won a conference title. They won a conference tournament. They went to the second round of the NCAA tournament. These guys know how to win. And when you're doing intangibles, when you start, and in college basketball is an awful lot, even in this transfer portal era, is still a lot about intangibles and chemistry and whatever else. And I think when you've got that foundation, when you've got that core, now you build around it, and he's done a really good job of that in my mind. But you've got a really good base to start from, because these guys know how to win.
Was Trey Thompson there today?
No, and part of it he cannot and he may have been there like watching.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I got there. I was a little late because I had a phone interview to do, but you can't do any sort of instruction with him, until the fall gets here.
Yeah.
So I asked him. I sat down with Ben McCollum yesterday, and I asked him about that, and he said that they can't do any instruction with him until the school year starts.
Brendan Hassan back out there, saw some clips from him on social media, knocking down 3-pointers. He was a guy that had been out for a little bit. What do we expect for him? I think he's going to be a starter. He's going to play certainly 20-plus minutes a game.
Right.
Is he going to be a guy, though, that they rely on for 32-type minutes a game, or is he going to be maybe in that 25 range, something like that, when you're kind of looking at a minutes breakdown and how he fits in and getting all the pieces working together?
Probably in the high 20s, I would think, in that 25 to 28 range. But he can shoot the ball. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you look at his numbers from last year, and throughout his career, he can shoot the three. And again, he's done a really good job in the composition of this roster of finding guys that can shoot. And I mean, and it's not just even the guards; it's some of his bigs can step out and shoot. So to get a guy like that had good numbers last year, it wasn't really a big part of that Kansas State team, but still a really good player. And so to get somebody like that one out, and okay, now you've got your scorer. Now you've got that 2 guard that you lost, that you didn't have with this, when you were starting to put this together. So I think it was a really good pickup for them to get him.
What was a takeaway or two from what you heard afterwards or saw during once you got there? A couple of your takeaways, John.
It's a very intense workout that they do. I mean, this isn't just summer. Let's play pickup ball, get to know each other. I mean, there's a lot of installation going on. There's a lot of, and he, when we talked yesterday, he said, I really want intensity. And he goes, and I told him, I said, I think you have some really intense workouts. And he goes, I think we could be better. And so I'm thinking if that's the level he wants to get at, these guys are really going to have to get after it. And that's a good sign. And to me, it's, and in talking to the players today, it's that way in the weight room. It's that way, in individual workouts, they want you in there doing this, and they want you talking, and they want you, to be, they want the communication there. So there's, like I said, a lot of intensity with this group, and you can see it again today. I mean, I know they've only got a couple weeks left in the summer workouts, but these guys really get after it. And I mean, they hustle, and that's what he wants out of his teams. That's what made that Drake team so good last year.
So was it night and day when you think back to McCaffrey at this point of the offseason, when you'd get an opportunity to watch the team practice? Is it a whole, I mean, is it the contrast stark?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I mean, Fran's teams were very, and he would always say this, they were very business-like, and I mean, it was just, we're just going to go about our business. These guys these guys have a lot more intensity to it. And, I'm not saying one way is right, one way is right.
Right.
It's a different, kind of a style. But, I mean, Fran's teams were very, he always talked about it, business-like, come in, get your work done. Ben McCollum is get your work done, but I want to hear you guys, and I want you to, to push each other. And you can see that in this group, and you've seen that in the videos they've shown from the weight room. And, I mean, these guys really get on each other. And, I mean, they want to win. I mean, this isn't a let's take a year to rebuild this. It's like, no, they want to get to the NCAA tournament. They want to be in that upper half of the Big Ten. They don't want to be playing on Wednesday, in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
They want to play on Friday.
Right.
So I mean, you can just tell there is an intensity with this group that I really like. It's fun to watch them work.
How do you think Cam Manuel is going to hold up being undersized at the center position? It's one thing to do it in the MVC, play 20 minutes a game. Right. They're hoping for a lot, obviously, out of him, out of the center position this year. How do you think he's going to hold up?
I think the body is there. He's going to need help. They're going to have to find somebody to help him out inside, because I don't think he can go 35, 36 minutes a game.
Yeah.
You're going to have to find somebody or a combination thereof to give you a good 10, a good solid 10. And, one of the things we were talking about yesterday, and he brought up about, and I think he said Matt Painter said this, that everybody always talks about, getting stars. And he's like, sometimes you need that guy to play right field.
Mm-hmm.
You need that guy to give you 10 minutes. And so it's going to be really important, I think, in the rest of this summer here in the last week or so, and then to get in the fall, to find that second person inside or third person to give you 10 minutes to give him a break, because he can't do it all on his own.
Fulgaris, maybe,
but the one good thing I really like about him is I think he's gonna be a really good big, but he can step out and shoot three.
Mm-hmm.
And so what how much is he going to be playing inside? We don't know yet, and again, they don't know yet because they haven't really seen a whole lot of him this summer. So again, that's going to be one of those. How does he fit in, and where do they kind of work around him?
John Bohnenkamp joining us as we take a look inside Iowa basketball after media availability. One final name that was available today is Tate Sage. Talk about a guy. I talked to a couple of Drake people and he committed to them. They're like, we'll see. And now he's been maybe the most buzziest
Oklahoma kid.
Yeah, the most buzziest kind of guy this summer. Like, look out here. And maybe not for this year, but for the future. Take us in Tate Sage a little bit. A guy at 6'7", got some guard skills, pretty intriguing prospect.
We talked to him today, and I mean, he was like, I wanted to be, he didn't even visit Iowa when he committed. It was just like, I want to play for Coach Mack. And because he said, I really like where I fit in the system. And I like him. Again, he's going to be one of those guys, he's going to have to get a little stronger. But the body is there, the length is there. And I think his ability is there. It's just a matter of, can he take the pounding that kind of comes with, the Big Ten. So, and he even admitted that. He goes, I've got to get stronger, but he's here to work. And so I think maybe he becomes a pleasant surprise, maybe not right away, but I think probably at some point this year, he is probably going to play a significant role on this team just by the way he plays. And with his size and everything else, again, it's all going to come back to how much, can he put on some weight? Can he put on some muscle? But there is something there, and I think they tap into it as he goes along in his career.
Quick baseball one, John. As we talk about your Dodgers, and we see them, it's crazy to think that this team's really underachieving this year. Got the second best record in baseball, best record in the National League. So I guess. I mean, is this the bottom? I mean, they're only going to get better. You're going to get guys healthy again. Glasnow's back. Snell probably comes back here. They're going to fleece the Twins out of one or two relievers, probably.
Wow.
Which will bolster the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they go get an outfielder.
Pie has been unbelievable.
There's a lot of guys out there that might be really good fits for them. And I mean, I don't know if you roll the dice and say, well, we'll just go with Michael Conforto the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But again, there's plenty of options out there. And I've said this before, they haven't even come close to being their best.
That's right.
And they're 5.5 games up right now. And so probably everybody should be frightened, but that's just.
Did they not like Tanner Scott? I mean, has he underachieved?
He is really underachieved.
Yeah.
That's why I think they do have to go find a closer.
Duran from the Twins.
No.
Yes, and if it costs a couple of Class A prospects, which is probably what the Twins will want, because they're not very good at trading.
All right.
So, I mean, I do think you will go see them get somebody like that. There will be some, and I mean, everybody's going to be looking for closers, but they are going to need some relief help because Tanner Scott's been so inconsistent, and I don't know how you trust that going into October.
30 seconds left. Jack Dreyer's been unbelievable. I mean, who saw this coming, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's been really good in the role, and I mean, I'd like to see him do a little bit more, but where he's at right now with them, I think he's had a really good season.
Yep, I'm with you. John, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you recapping what you saw earlier today. Thank you, John Bohnenkamp. Talk to you down the road, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, good to talk to you. Yep, bye-bye. John Bohnenkamp as we check in on the Hawks.
As always, thanks to John Bohnenkamp for joining us and taking his digs at my Minnesota Twins, which is always incredibly frustrating, and his Dodgers. But a little baseball there, and Jack Dreyer continues to do a great job with that Dodgers team. And a fun story to follow. Major League Baseball amateur draft happened on Sunday into Monday, and a number of Hawkeyes went in that one also. We'll talk about that a little bit more later in the week. We continue. The Caitlyn Clark season has not gone the way anybody anticipated. What's next for the former Hawkeye star as we continue Locked On Hawkeyes? Welcome back one final time to the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. As always, thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit subscribe. If you're listening on the podcast side, 5-star reviews helps us get in front of more Hawkeye fans. And thanks to you everydayers with us every single day. CC, Caitlyn Clark, I think we're running out of ways to say how disappointing this year has been. Coming into this season, finally having a layoff. Remember her rookie year, just coming quickly after that national championship game loss to South Carolina. Had no time to recuperate. And with a full off season in front of her, I think we all thought she's going to hit the ground running. But as we go back to that exhibition game at Carver-Hawkeye Arena, and what a great scene that was, and beating the Brazilian national team and Caitlyn doing her thing and hitting a logo 3 and on and on and on. I think in hindsight, it bears questioning, should Caitlyn Clark have even played in that game, albeit at Carver-Hawkeye Arena? She's not going to be available for all-star festivities. We won't get to see her in the 3-point shootout. So you have that component. And the injury, though a different injury with the quad injury leading to the groin injury that she's currently dealing with, does it go hand in hand? Now, did one injury lead to the other because you're overcompensating or whatever it is? I'm no doctor, but it's not a big stretch to believe that that very well could be the case with Caitlyn Clark. And the team is still pretty good. Not at the level I think a lot of people thought when they were, the third betting choice coming into the season to win the WNBA championship. But as a Hawkeye fan, where we really didn't have to see her play very banged up, she was able to keep herself in incredible shape and didn't have any of those major injuries. It's tough to watch. You can see her frustration. You can see how devastating this has to be for her as she retooled her body, got physically stronger, and yet it's not leading to her being able to be on the floor. The WNBA needs it because the product is still a difficult watch. If you're just a basketball fan, the physical brand of basketball. And it leads to a bigger question. If the WNBA needs to go this offseason, go under the hood and see what needs to be done. And the foul rate is basically the same. Flagrant fouls, technical fouls, very similar to what we've seen in past seasons. However, because of the way the game is played in the WNBA, and because you have a once-in-a-generation superstar in Caitlyn Clark, is the time now to make a change? Is the time now for them to go out there and say, we have to officiate this game differently because we have to protect one star? The Jordan rules, the time for the Clark rules in the WNBA certainly feels like that very well could be the case. Thanks as always for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Still a lot of football topics to get around. And again, next week I will be in Vegas at Circa's where I'll be staying. I will have daily podcasts for you talking all things Hawkeyes, the latest news, rumor mill that's happening over in Vegas for Big Ten Media Day. As you know, us media guys, we like to talk a little bit, and we will be sure to pass that all along to you. As always, thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Until then, go Hawks.